It's Keith, and we're back with another video. Today, as you can see, we have a DC Heroes tier list. It's been a while since I did a tier list, honestly. So I'm looking forward to this one. DC is my favorite comic studio, hero studio. So I'm probably going to be biased towards a lot of these heroes. But as you can see, we have the categories here. Starting at number one, we have World's Finest. These are the epitome or the peak of being a hero. Next up, we have a true hero. You're really one of the greats, but you're just not at that legendary status. Champion, you're doing good. You're well renowned, well known, but you just aren't past that cap or that you haven't hit that next level. Hero in the making, I mean, you're all right. I mean, you cool. If you pop up in a comic or something or on a TV show, I'm like, hey, that's so and so, but it's okay. Rough start, those are for the people that, I'm honestly just being generous putting rough start there. Like you're not bad, you're not, bottom of the barrel, but you there, I guess. And civilian. These are like the heroes that you see in fodder in comics and hero shows. The ones that just get tossed around. Like, basically you just there just to be there, to be honest. Um, but yeah, we have our tiers here. I guess the way I'm gonna rank them is a little bit of bias. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I can put my bias to the side for some of these people, but also mainly just how recognizable they are and how much of a hero they are in the comics. So how often you see them in like Justice League comics or any type of hero crossover comics, and just how much they stand out. Honestly, um, pretty sure I know everybody on this list. So let's go ahead and get started. At number one, we have Batgirl. Um, I'll put you. I'll put you in champion. Like Batgirl is iconic. Whenever someone sees a woman in a suit with a bat symbol on it, they're just gonna say Batgirl. Um, I don't think she's quite as interesting as other Bat family members, like Batwoman, even. But she's okay. She's a champion. I'll put her there. Cyborg. I'm not gonna lie. You go into a true hero. Cyborg is one of those characters. He started off as really just a Teen Titans character and kind of made his way up into the ranks into the Justice League. He's pretty much a main part of every Justice League comic. The most recent one I could think of is like Deceased, but I don't know. He's always kind of had like I've always had a liking towards Cyborg. He's been a pretty good hero every time I've seen him. He doesn't really have many solo comics that I enjoy as much, but whenever I see him tagging along someone else, I always enjoy him. Next up, the picture's kind of rendered blurry, but we have Red Hood. I put him in that true hero category. Red Hood, kind of interesting. Used to be a Robin, the second Robin, ended up becoming sort of a vigilante anti-hero type, and ended up just becoming his own type of hero. I think he has a really good comeback story. He went from being the most hated Robin back in the day, hated so much that the fans voted to kill him off, to ended up becoming some people's favorite hero. He's kind of like the Punisher of DC, so I pretty much enjoy Red Hood. Anything with him stands out. Now you already know. What more needs to be said? Not only is Batman likely the most iconic hero of all time, especially the most iconic DC hero, he has all the best storylines. I mean, if we look through this shit, like half of the heroes here are related to Batman in some way. And when you think of like the best villains, 90% of the time, if you're thinking DC, you're thinking Batman villains. Like Batman is one of the most written heroes of all time, so of course he's going to World's Finest. I mean, I even named it after somewhat halfway after him, so he's staying up there. Next up, we have the first Green Lantern. His name's Alec. He's a hero in the making. A member of the JSA. So I always have love for the JSA. I'm glad to see that we're getting more comics with them coming up soon. But he's okay. Hero in the making. I'd be lying if I said I knew a lot about him, other than the fact that he's the first Green Lantern, but of Earth. But he's a really cool guy. I mean, can't really hate on him. He's kind of the blueprint. Aquaman. I'd be lying if I didn't say he was a true hero. Aquaman is weird because he's arguably probably one of the most made fun of heroes, but at the same time, he's one of the most badass heroes. So it's kind of like the writers saw how comical and kind of gimmicky he was initially, and just made it their all. Their whole purpose is just to make him one of the coolest heroes ever. I mean, King of the Seas. He has some crazy powers. Like Aquaman, when you think of people with water powers, he's like the go-to like main staple of that. So gotta have him there. One of my favorite heroes of all time. You know you're going up there, buddy. World's Finest. Now, Flash, he's like the iconic speedster in all of comics. He's like the most iconic. Whether you're talking about Barry Allen or you're talking about any other Flash variant, he is just honestly one of the coolest heroes ever. He has some of the greatest storylines, some of the most iconic villains. I mean, Reverse Flash is in my top five villains of all time. Now, you can't have Reverse Flash without having Flash. And their storyline is how they both can't get rid of each other and both need each other, but both despise each other. It makes awesome storytelling. So, of course, The Flash is up there at number, and up there at World's Finest. Beast Boy. I feel like a lot of people are going to hate me for this. I'm going to put him in here on the making. Like, don't get me wrong, Beast Boy is one of my favorite members of the Teen Titans. I mean, as a kid, I think Beast Boy might have been like one of my favorite heroes at some point. But the thing about Beast Boy is his solo comics aren't really that good. And whenever he shows up in a show or something, it's always really cool to see him. He has pretty cool powers, but he never really stands out. Other than the Teen Titans TV show and a little bit of even uh, Teen Titans Go for people that watch that. Other than those, though, he doesn't really stand out anywhere else. So I hate to put Guard there that low, but hey. Next up, uh, I'm assuming this is Black Canary. Is she anywhere else on this list? Okay, I'm going to assume this is Black Canary just from looking at her. And I'm putting her in champion. Black Canary is another hero. It's kind of weird how I'm putting her above Beast Boy now that I think about it. But I definitely like Beast Boy more. But if I'm being honest, I feel like Black Canary, especially like watching shows like Young Justice, like even the small scenes she always had the spotlight and always just a memorable character. And then watching shows like Arrow also made me enjoy her more. But every time I see Black Canary, she's always done really well. She's always been a consistent character. I've never seen her and just ignored her or tossed her to her side. I always viewed her as like a formidable hero. So she has to go there. Ooh, next up, one of my favorite heroes. Come on now. We got Booster Gold. Now, I can't wait to see Booster Gold in James Gunn's DC universe because I think he's one of the most underrated heroes of all time. I mean, to be honest, he's kind of like lame in terms of like who he is as a person. I mean, this is a guy that pretty much forcibly made himself a hero, but he went through so many trials and tribulations alongside his buddy Blue Beetle, and he really just is a standout. Not only is he funny and hilarious, but he actually genuinely has a lot of really cool hero moments. And even though Booster Gold isn't as known or noticeable as some of the other people on his list, I believe if he's done right in a live action film, he's going to become one of the most popular heroes of today's time. So I'm really looking forward to see more in Booster Gold. Oh, come on now. World's Finest. How can John Constantine? He's one of my favorite heroes of all time. So yes, there's some bias, but I don't know anyone who hates John Constantine. Now, maybe not everyone knows John Constantine. He does. He's getting more popular steadily over the years. He has some of the best comics of all time. Anytime he appears in a show or someone else's comic, he always a standout. I mean, again, I spoke about Deceased earlier. He has a major part in that whole spinoff timeline, Elseworld story. But John Constantine is just such a cool character. If you watch the DC animated films, he has a major role in those films. Like John Constantine is one of those heroes who he isn't really heroic, but he always has the best hero moment. It's really weird, but John Constantine is such a cool character. Like he has to be World's Finest. He's one of the greatest heroes of all time. Next up, this is Robin. More specifically, we have Damian Wayne. And no, not rough start. I'm not gonna give him a rough start. I'm gonna put him in champion. We're gonna start getting some people at the bottom rows there. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, the reason I'm putting him there, honestly, I was never one of those people that disliked Damien. I know a lot of people disliked him in the beginning. It's actually my second favorite Robin, behind Dick Grayson. But Damien, he has a interesting history as well. I started to realize people hate Robins. Like we start hating the Robin, then we love them. Other than Dick Grayson, every other Robin after him was hated on and then just universally loved later. But he has some incredible storylines as well. And I feel like he is like the epitome of being a younger Batman, if that makes sense. I feel like if Batman passes on the mantle, a lot of people would think Nightwing, but I think the whole reason Nightwing created his own identity is to become his own hero. And I believe the person that actually should have taken up the mantle of Batman is Damian Wayne. I mean, he has done it a few times in the comics already, but Damian Wayne, I mean, he's an assassin raised by the League of Shadows that eventually became his father's apprentice. Like, come on, he's like the coolest kid ever. All right, now we have our first nominee in rough start. Actually, civilian. It's Deadman. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, Deadman's pretty cool. You know, I think his accent's funny when you hear him in the movies and stuff like that. But I mean, he's just a ghost. His power is being a ghost. I mean, sure, he has some other abilities a little bit that he can do with that. But I mean, every hero has, something they can do. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's pretty much just a ghost guy. Uh, Not really much is interesting about him. I mean, yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm not even. I don't know who you are. Like, I want to think Plastic Man, but you don't look anything like him. This a stretchy hero. I feel bad for not knowing you. I, but hey, you're gonna go on civilian only because I don't know your name. Sorry. Who? Doctor Fate. Now, Doctor Fate. Let's see here. Where are you gonna go? You know what? It'll feel wrong not to have you in True Hero. See, Doctor Fate is one of the most iconic heroes of all time as well when it comes to sorcery or magic users in DC. He's essentially kind of like, for those Marvel fans, the Doctor Strange of DC. I mean, even the names are similar: Doctor Fate, Doctor Strange. But he's just so cool. I mean, there's been multiple people that have donned the helmet, because pretty much Doctor Fate isn't the person underneath the suit or underneath the helmet, but the helmet itself is where the powers come from and where Doctor Fate truly shines. But whenever some type of magical problem comes up, if you don't get Doctor Fate, you're gonna get. If you don't get Doctor Fate, you're gonna get someone like Zatanna or John Constantine. But you're always getting Doctor Fate first. Like, whenever something pops up and you're like, "Hey, what is this? Like, what is this shit? We got some magic things going on." Get Doctor Fate. He'll figure it out, and he does. I mean, Doctor Fate is just one of the coolest sorcerers ever. Whenever something pops up, even if it's not magic related, you're gonna get Doctor Fate because he's one of the heavy hitters in DC. The thing about Firestorm is, he's most known for like DC's Legends of Tomorrow for the people that watch that show that eventually kind of flopped. But he's cool. I mean, he's a guy that has, I guess, fire slash nuclear powers. He's a really interesting character since in some iterations he's pretty much two people put in one. But I mean, he doesn't really stand out if I'm being honest. Like, I can't tell you. I can probably count on I can probably count on my hand the amount of times I've seen him utilized in comics. Yeah, he just doesn't really do much. So, fortunately, going in that rough start, he has potential. He's one of those heroes I can see being kind of underrated. C or D list heroes that's brought into the mainstream and becomes a fan favorite depending on who plays him and how he's written. But overall, he's gonna go there. Green Arrow, champion. Green Arrow. If you're not making fun of Aquaman, he's usually the go-to like hero that you make fun of or see made fun of the most. I mean, you have a whole Justice League full of gods and monsters and machines. Then you got two guys that have powers. Only difference is one is Batman and the other is Green Arrow. So, not really much else needs to be said other than that. All right, now we have our first Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. How could you hear in the making? Guy Gardner is one of those heroes, especially Green Lanterns. He's usually most people's least favorite Green Lantern. I mean, I think he's pretty interesting. He had a pretty cool start, pretty good origin, being a police officer and all of that. But other than that, I mean, he's okay. He hasn't really made too much like name for himself, other than the fact You know what? In the new James Gunn Superman, he is going to be in that film. So I mean, who knows? Depending on how he's acted and depending on how good that film is, he may just go up a lot on people's radar. I mean, we think about it, he's going to be the first Green Lantern we're going to see in the DCU. So let's see how it goes from there. But of course, next up we have the most iconic Green Lantern. Gotta put you in a true hero. We have Hal Jordan. When you think of Green Lanterns, you think of Hal Jordan. I mean, actually, we had another Green Lantern on the list. What am I talking about? But yeah, when you think of Green Lanterns, you think of Hal Jordan. He's kind of the staple when it comes to being a Justice League member. When you think of like the core Justice League, you think of people like Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Like those are kind of like the staple characters that are always in the Justice League. And whenever you think of Green Lantern, you're gonna 90% of the time focus your thoughts on Hal Jordan. He's kind of the epitome of all the Green Lantern Corps, kind of like the mainstay. So you gotta have him there. Hawkman. Honestly, I'm gonna give you a rough start. Hawkman is one of those characters. He's pretty cool. I mean, him and Hawkwoman, or Hawk Girl, whatever her name is, they're pretty cool characters. But I feel like we need more of them. Other than the Justice League TV show, as a kid, but even then, they were like some of my least favorite characters there. I mean, they have some cool moments, some standout episodes, but so did everyone in that show. But other than that, we don't have much to say of him, honestly. And here we have the original Flash. I put you in Hero of the Making as well. I think it's kind of fitting. We have the original Green Lantern and the original Flash both in those areas. Two JSA members. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Jay Garrick. He's a really interesting character. Has some really cool like standout moments. I mean, he's the reason the Flash as a character exists. But I mean, there's not really much else I can say other than that. If I'm being honest. Okay, speaking of Green Lanterns, we have Jessica Cruz. Well, okay, you're on a civilian. She's one of the newer Green Lanterns. I mean, at this point, there's like 9 or 10 Green Lanterns in Earth Sector. She's one of the newer ones. She's okay. I mean, nothing bad I can really say about her. Um, yeah, nothing bad I can really say about her. I don't know too much about her other than really her name that she's one of the newer Green Lanterns. I saw her recently in a comic. Just can't. I'm blanking on which one it was, honestly. But she's okay. I mean, she doesn't really stand out. Hasn't really done anything to stand out. Maybe even the new Green Lantern show would change that if she's a part of it. But who knows? Another Green Lantern, we have John Stewart, which I'm not gonna lie, he's a true hero. John Stewart is, other than Hal Jordan, he's the most noticeable name of a Green Lantern. Of course, him and Hal Jordan are actually going to be teaming up in the new Green Lantern show that's being greenlit at DC. But yeah, Hal Jordan is like the most popular Green Lantern. But when you think of like the coolest Green Lantern, and the one I enjoy the most is definitely going to be John Stewart here. John is just one of the coolest characters ever. I think one of my favorite like times ever seeing John Stewart has to be in the old Static Shock cartoon when he teamed up with Static. That was so cool. Kind of like when he lost his ring, lost his powers, kind of fell out of hope, but then regained all that in a moment's notice when a hero was needed. I mean, every hero has their fall off moment, their kind of point of giving up, but they always come back when a hero is needed. And that show, I always thought of that ever since a kid. Ever since I saw that as a kid, it always stood out to me. So he's gonna go up there. We have the other Hawk here. Not much other needs to be said. I mean, the same way I feel about Hawkman, same way I feel about you. That's pretty much it. Katana. Uh, I'll put you in rough start. Not too much is known about Katana um, as a whole. She doesn't have too many appearances in comics, but I will say I did for that first Suicide Squad movie. As terrible as it was, I actually really thought she was cool. Like she looked pretty cool and fought pretty cool. And then some of the Suicide Squad comics as well. I mean, I thought were really interesting that she has some really good storylines in there actually. So I'll put you in a rough start. Another Green Lantern. This is Kyle. Where is Kyle going? I'd say you're no worse or better than Guy Gardner, so you're gonna go there. Not really much else to say about you, honestly. We have Martian Manhunter. Now, I want to put Martian Manhunter into the true hero category because as often as we see him, he doesn't really do much. I mean, he's one of the strongest people in all of DC, and he's kind of like backburned a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you there. Ugh, okay, Amber Heard ruined your reputation. Sad to say. Let's just go ahead and put you into a rough start and not say anything else. Mr. Miracle. Let's see. I don't know. He's a pretty cool character. I mean, let's see. Kind of has interesting times with Darkseid. So you know what? I'll put him into the rough start category. He's not civilian level. I mean, he's better than and more known than these people, I would say. But oh, whew, we finally got someone else in World's Finest, and we have one of my favorite heroes of all time, Dick Grayson, Nightwing. I mean, anything you. He's kind of like a blend of, in my mind, I always thought of him like a blend of Batman and Superman. He has like the skills and the techniques of Batman, but the ideology and kind of like the charisma of Superman, which I thought was interesting, especially when his name, funny enough, comes from Krypton, Nightwing. He chose that name after hearing a story from Superman. So it's kind of fitting that I feel that way. But Nightwing is just such a cool character. I mean, most recently, the Absolute Power comics. I mean, he's leading the Justice League as they're now in this kind of like struggle state of most of them losing their powers and not sure how to fight against crime or against Amanda Waller. And of course, they have the leader of the Teen Titans leading them, a powerless hero himself who constantly fights people that are much better than him, much more powerful, but always finds a way to tip the scales, similar to Batman. He's gonna go up there. Ooh, Plastic Man. Oh man, I love Plastic Man. He's a true hero. Plastic Man is super underutilized, and I feel bad putting him above someone like Martian Manhunter, who's definitely more, well, debatably more powerful than him. Because Plastic Man, despite how he looks and despite how his power set is super powerful, but he's just such a fun hero. Like he's always kind of like the heart of any comic he's in. He always stands out for sure. I mean, I can think about even watching the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon, how he was always my favorite character in there, him and Blue Beetle, and Batman was in that show. So like, but he always stands out. He's really interesting. Like anytime Plastic Man is on the screen, I'm there. Power Girl. Um, I'd say you're a hero in the making. You're not as interesting as maybe your counterpart, like Supergirl, but she has a lot of instances in comics where she pops up. One of my favorite things I think I've seen her in is probably the Superman Batman movie, the animated series, the animated movie, the first one. She was in that. She was pretty cool. She didn't really stand out too much, but I mean, she always makes her mark one way or another. The question. Hmm. The question is interesting. Because you know what? I'm putting him in champion. He's not the most powerful hero. He's not the most iconic hero. But the one thing I will say, he's one of the most efficient heroes. Like for what he does, he always gets the job done. Like he's a hero that knows his place, knows his lane, and sticks to it. And I've always liked and enjoyed him. I read like the Black Label comic that he has. It was really interesting. And I mean, for those of you who are fans of something like Batman or any like detective series, he's like the full on detective version of that. I mean, if you're someone who likes the movie or even the comic Watchmen, he's who the character Rorschach is based off of. You can kind of tell just by looking at him. But yeah, he's a really interesting character. Raven. I'm gonna put her in champion. She's actually my second favorite female hero of all time. But the reason I'm putting her in champion, not anywhere higher, is because I'm waiting for her to have more of her own personal storyline. She's always tied to Trigon or the Teen Titans, which is fine, but it's kind of a repetitive storyline every time you see Raven. I like to get something new and something fresh for her character rather than getting the same thing over and over again. But she's definitely one of the most powerful heroes of all time. You have Red Arrow or Speedy. I mean, I really did like him in Young Justice. I'm not gonna lie. So that's making him going hero of the making. You know what? He was really good in Young Justice. I don't really have much bad to say about him. That's really the most noticeable thing I know of him, other than some of his early comics back during like the '70s. But he's a really cool character. He's okay. Shazam, probably the youngest hero on this list. We're gonna go ahead and throw you into the true hero. There was a point in time where Shazam was more popular than Superman, believe it or not. Created as kind of like a Superman clone that could appeal even more so to kids. You know, every kid's dream is thinking about themselves being a hero. So seeing Billy Batson, just a normal little kid, just says one magical word, Shazam, and becomes as powerful as Superman. A lot of kids gravitated towards that and really loved that, including me. So I always had a liking towards him, whether you want to call him Captain Marvel or Shazam. But he's a really cool character. I believe this is our last Flash on the list. Um, I'm going to put you down here with Civilian. I mean, do you have a gun? I'm sorry. You're a Flash and you're running around with a gun. Yeah, you're going down there. I believe his name's Simon or something like that. I don't know much about him, but I, I mean, you look cool, I guess. I mean, like Rey Mysterio or something. Next up, we have Starfire, another hero in the making, another member of the Teen Titans. So it's only fitting that you're right alongside Beast Boy here in this row. But I mean, a lot of people know Starfire if you watch Teen Titans, especially. She was a star. Actually, I'm not even gonna say she's a standout character. I feel like everyone in that show is pretty unique and pretty interesting. But she doesn't really have much on her own. Like she kind of has the worst version of Raven. Similar to what I said to Raven about not really having more than one storyline. Starfire suffers from that too. I feel like. Um, I know she has some comics out there. I will admit I haven't read any of her solo comics, but anytime I see her outside of that, she doesn't really do much and doesn't really stand out. Stargirl. I've been meaning to watch her show on the CW. I know it ended a while back, but other than that, I want to give her a rough start. Only because I haven't really familiarized myself with her too much, other than some of the JSA comics. But you know what? She was one of my favorite characters in the last comic. Uh, Hero in the making. Yeah, it'll go up. Because you know what? Now I think about it, she was the standout and probably my favorite character in the latest JSA comic. So you know what? You're gonna go there. Superboy. I'm gonna put you into champion. Now Superboy is interesting because I think fans we don't really like getting repetitive characters. I mean, Superman already exists, so a lot of people are like, what's the point of having Superboy? I mean, when there's a Superman, he's just a weaker version of that. But I believe what makes him stand out is one, not only is he a clone of Superman, but a clone of Lex Luthor as well. And to anybody who's watched the Young Justice TV show, he definitely starts off as kind of like a stagnant character. I actually thought it was kind of funny, just like how over the top and obnoxious he was. But he really became like the heart and soul of that show in the later seasons. So I feel like anytime I see Superboy, ever since that show, he always stands out to me. Supergirl, one of the most iconic women heroes of all time. But I'm going to put you right alongside Superboy there. Supergirl is a really interesting character as well. She has a lot of cool storylines, animated films as well. Actually, Supergirl One Man of Tomorrow is one of the, I think, the greatest comics in recent years. But yeah, she's okay. I feel like we need to get more of her. I would love to have more of her. I mean, we did have a bit of her in the Flash movie, which she was probably the best part of that movie, as trash as it was. But I would like to see more Supergirl. The Man of Steel, World's Finest. Matter of fact, we're moving you next to Batman. How about that? Like World's Finest. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I titled it after him and Batman, so of course Superman is going to be up there. But Superman is the reason all these other characters exist. Superman started DC. I mean, of course, it was Action Comics back then. I mean, still is titled Action Comics, but Superman kind of helped revitalize the wave or create the wave of heroes. He's not the first superhero. You know, there were a few before him, but Superman really pushed the mark. He really pushed forward the agenda of creating heroes and these iconic stories. Without Superman, a lot of these characters wouldn't exist. And not only just that, he has some of the most iconic stories of all time, some of the greatest villains, some of the greatest hero moments. When I think of a definitive hero, I go Superman or Spider Man. Batman is usually like my third thought, even though he's my favorite hero. But when I think of like the true meaning of being a hero, I'm giving it to Superman. Swamp Thing. Oh my god. Okay. You're so underrated, buddy. Swamp Thing, I think, is one of the most well written heroes of all time. He has one of the most underrated hero shows of all time. If you get the chance to ever be able to find the Swamp Thing show, I hugely recommended it. Like the show suffered from being on that DC platform as an exclusive show there. If it was anywhere else, I think it would have had a lot more of a cultural impact. But that show and the character in itself is just so amazing. Swamp Thing is one of the most interesting heroes. He's kind of like the hero of the earth more so than the people, which I think is kind of interesting. But still, he has a little bit of humanity in him that he chooses to try to ignore. It makes him so interesting. We have Blue Beetle here. You're gonna go on champion. See, Blue Beetle. If you watch the new Blue Beetle movie, you know, same name but different hero. This Blue Beetle doesn't have any powers. He's more so like a Batman, Iron Man hybrid type of character. But when he's partnered alongside Booster Gold, I mean, they're like the ultimate dynamic duo. They're like the funniest and coolest characters ever. But by himself, he's still pretty interesting. I think Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, is who he is. I think he's really cool. He doesn't have too much that I care about, if I'm being honest. He's kind of just like a lesser version of other heroes. But like I said, whenever he's alongside Booster Gold, I mean, they create gold. They're awesome. The Atom. Uh, I'll say you have a rough start. Atom has been in comics for a very long time. He's kind of like DC's equivalent to Ant Man, but he doesn't really do much that like he doesn't really do much. Just that like he's okay. I don't know too much about him. I see him pretty often, but he's okay. That's Tim Drake Robin. If I'm being honest, he's my least favorite Robin, but I still love him a lot. I'm gonna put him in here on the making. Now, he's arguably a lot better than some of the people that's on this like tier with him, but I feel like he still has a lot to prove in comics. He's been in comics for a while. He's done a lot of great things. I mean, even Batman himself called him the world's greatest detective. Batman said he has potential to be even when it comes to detective work better than him. But I mean, he has more to prove. I feel like his story isn't done. Of course, he has a lot of other Robins who are getting the spotlight. Or I mean, Nightwing kind of made his own mark. Red Hood made his own character, his own lane. He kind of does that with the whole Red Robin persona, but he's always like the last Robin, if I'm being honest. Oh, here's Wally West. We have him up here. I'm putting him in the world's finest. I think Wally West is just as synonymous with the character Flash as Barry Allen. I mean, a lot of people, even a friend of mine, didn't even realize that the Flash that was in the Justice League TV show is Wally West, not Barry Allen. And that's his favorite iteration of Flash. So I think Wally West is just as important to the character of Flash as Barry Allen. He is faster than Barry Allen, from one. But he has a lot of the heart. He has more of a heart, I would say, than Barry Allen. Barry Allen has some of the more iconic storylines, I would say, and Barry Allen is my favorite Flash. But Wally West does more with the character of Flash in recent years, and kind of pushes the staple of who Flash is. Like a lot of people, when they think of Flash, they think of Barry Allen, but really the character they're meaning to think about is Wally West. Next up is Wildcat. I'm sorry, JSA members. I really let you guys down because I really said how much I love JSA and I put in like all of you guys in Heroes in the Making. But I think it's kind of fitting that you guys are Heroes in the Making because you know what? You guys made the names of some of the heroes who've taken like your staples or mantles later on. Wildcat, he's okay. He was always one of my least favorite members of the JSA. Um, but I think he's still a really interesting hero. I think I need to see more of him. It's probably my own fault that I don't really look into many comics of Wildcat, but he's really interesting. We're down to our final two. Their heads are kind of cut off, but from what I can tell, this is definitely Wonder Woman. And of course, she's in World's Finest. Wonder Woman is the most iconic female hero of all time. One of my favorites as well. And Wonder Woman is just such a cool character because she kind of defines what it is. Like, she's kind of defines what it is to be like a warrior more so than a hero. If that makes sense. She has the warrior mentality, loyalty to her people, but also loyalty to all life. I mean, when Superman goes down, she's the contingency plan. Like, so she's a heavy hitter. A lot of people like to underestimate how her strengths and her feats are, but she's a very heavy hitter. I mean, she's part of the big three of DC. What more can I say? And last but not least, my favorite female hero, Zatanna. We'll go up into true hero status. I think Zatanna has a little bit more still to prove to make herself into that world's finest category, but she still is one of the greatest heroes of all time. Like, similar to like John Constantine and Doctor Fate, whenever something magical is going on, you're like, hey, we need Zatanna. We need to figure this shit out. And she always pulls through. She's really cool, really interesting, and I think I think she has what it takes to be a world's finest hero. She's just missing one thing, and that's a solo movie. Once she gets that, and if it's done really well, I can see her being like one of the most popular heroes of all time. And I don't mean that lightly. Like, I really think she has what it takes, especially for young women. Like, they always love to get heroes, young women, because they don't really get as represented as much. I mean, just look at this list; it's mainly guys. But whenever female heroes hit the spotlight, I think she has the potential to be a Harley Quinn type, like someone you see girls dress up as on Halloween. So she's definitely going in as true hero status. But overall, here's our tier list. I'm pretty satisfied with it, honestly. I love all the heroes on this list for the most part, except for the ones that are civilian. If you had a rough start, but I think DC is in a very good place going forward. Now, the movies, a lot of people consider when they think of DC, they think of the films, haven't been in the best place of recently. But I have a lot of faith in what James Gunn is doing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the new Superman film and everything that's to come. But DC Comics are in a great place right now. We have the Absolute Comics out right now, which are doing really good. A lot of the Elseworld stories, a lot of the ongoing series like Action and Detective Comics are doing fantastic. And we have the upcoming All In Universe starting in October. So I think DC is in a great spot. But go ahead, comment down below which heroes would you put in World's Finest? And do you agree with the ones I have there? Other than that, again, my name is Keith, and thanks for watching.